So, how does a teenage murder in 1950s New Zealand end up helping create one of the greatest film trilogies of all time? Let me explain. It all starts with Juliet Hulme, a 15-year-old girl living in Christchurch in 1954. Her world is about to be turned upside down when her parents drop to bombshells. They're getting divorced, and she has to move to South Africa. For Juliet, this news is absolutely devastating. Moving away means losing her one true friend, Pauline Parker. These two girls are inseparable. They've created their own fantasy world, writing stories together, and becoming completely obsessed with each other. When they learn they might be split apart, they beg Juliet's parents to let Pauline come along to South Africa. Surprisingly, her parents agree if Pauline's mom allows it. But when Pauline asks, her mother says, "Absolutely not." The girls are crushed. In their minds, they cannot be separated. And so, together, they come up with a shocking solution. If Pauline's mom is gone, nothing can stop them from staying together. The murder. One fateful afternoon, Juliet visits Pauline's house. She hands Pauline a brick inside a stocking. Their sinister plan is set in motion. Later that day, the girls invite Pauline's mom, Anura Reaper, to Victoria Park for a walk. As the three stroll along the path, Juliet creates a distraction by dropping a small pink stone on the ground. When Anura bends down to look at Itbom, Pauline smashes her over the head with a brick. The attack is brutal and frenzied. Unora screams and tries to fight back, but the girls overpower her. They pin her down and take turns striking her again and again. After more than 20 savage blows, Pauline's mother lies dead on the ground. In a panic, the girls run to a nearby tea shop, pretending it was a terrible accident. But when police arrive, it's obvious this was no accident. The viciousness of the attack is clear, and the girls' story quickly falls apart. The trial news of the murder shocks New Zealand. Two teenage girls killing a mother in cold blood, it's unthinkable. Both Juliet and Pauline are arrested and put on trial. The case becomes a media sensation, with lurid details of the girls' intense relationship coming to light. Despite their young age, both are convicted of murder. But because they're under 18, they're spared the death penalty. Instead, they each serve just 5 years in prison. The aftermath: upon their release, Juliet and Pauline are forbidden from ever contacting each other again. Their paths diverge dramatically. Pauline keeps a low profile, eventually moving to England and living under an assumed name. But Juliet, she reinvents herself entirely. She changes her name to Anne Perry and moves to Scotland. There, she begins writing crime novels ironic given her own criminal past. Incredibly, Anne Perry becomes wildly successful. She publishes over 100 books and sells millions of copies worldwide. All the while, her true identity remains a secret. Enter Peter Jackson. Fast forward to the early 1990s. A young New Zealand filmmaker named Peter Jackson is looking for his next project. He stumbles upon the story of Juliet and Pauline's infamous crime. Fascinated, Jackson decides to make a film about the murder. He calls it Heavenly Creatures and casts a then-unknown Kate Winslet as Juliet. The movie is a critical hit. It earns an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay and puts Jackson on Hollywood's radar. But here's where things get really interesting. The success of Heavenly Creatures gives Jackson the credibility and industry connections he needs to pitch his dream project, adapting J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings into a massive film trilogy. Without Heavenly Creatures, Jackson might never have gotten the chance to make The Lord of the Rings. And those movies, of course, go on to become some of the most beloved and successful films of all time. The past revealed. But the release of Heavenly Creatures has another unexpected consequence. It draws renewed attention to the decades-old murder case. Journalists start digging, and eventually, they make a startling discovery. The best-selling author Anne Perry is actually Juliet Hulme, the teenage killer. When confronted, Perry admits to her true identity. She expresses deep remorse for her actions as a troubled teenager, calling the murder a terrible, terrible mistake. The revelation causes a media frenzy. Some fans are shocked and abandon her books. Others are fascinated by her story of redemption. Despite the controversy, Anne Perry continues writing. She acknowledges her past, but insists she's a changed person. Her career endures until her death in 2023 at the age of 84. A strange twist of fate, so there you have it. A horrific crime committed by two obsessed teenagers in 1954 sets off a chain of events that leads decades later to the creation of one of the greatest film trilogies ever made. It's a reminder that history is full of unexpected connections, that sometimes the darkest moments can indirectly lead to moments of incredible creativity and art, of course. None of this justifies the original crime. Honora Reaper lost her life in a senseless act of violence. Her murder remains a tragedy, regardless of what came after. But it's a fascinating example of how a single event can have far-reaching consequences that no one could have possibly predicted. A teenage killer becomes a best-selling author. A small New Zealand film leads to an epic fantasy trilogy. And a horrific true crime story ultimately contributes to some of cinema's greatest achievements. History is strange that way. You never know how one moment might shape the future in ways we can't imagine. So the next time you watch Frodo and Sam trek across Middle-earth, spare a thought for the bizarre, twisted path that helped bring that story to the screen. It's a journey almost as unlikely as the one to Mount Doom itself,